Hey everyone, welcome to another reading. Today I've got that divine masculine reading that I promised you guys in my last video. Sorry, it's been a little bit later than I would have liked to have done it, and the setup is slightly different today, as you can possibly see. That's because it's a bit of an impromptu reading. I haven't got any channeled messages for you about the other kind of the status of the world or anything. It's only going to be straight into the reading and a few other channeled messages about what I kind of got to do with the reading. I've got the divine masculine one here for you, and it's kind of about the period of time in between the last reading and kind of where we are right now in the next couple of days. The plan is to manage to somehow squeeze in a couple more readings for the new year for you as well. I really hope that happens. Just basically my work situation has changed a little bit, and I'm having to do a load of extra work just to because of the lockdown and stuff that's happened, and I've changed roles as well, so it's super busy. Anyway, I was very called to basically do a divine masculine reading, like I said last time. It was kind of the third party reading that I did last time, so there was kind of the divine masculine, obviously. And the way that I set it up, the divine masculine is in the middle of that reading, and it really did have, as well as the karmic aspect, whether that's relationship or habits or family, or if that's kind of work, whatever that karmic aspect might be for the divine masculine, and also for the divine feminine as well. So the divine masculine was in the middle, and they got the cards were really speaking to me at that point. And I kept hearing, like, do a divine masculine reading, do a divine masculine reading. It's just taking me a while to actually do it. But here it is right now. Before I quickly do the reading, I do want to say that carrying on from that last reading that I did and that message that I got, where I was very much getting called to the divine masculine collective coming through, that energy coming through in the reading, I really did feel that there's a lot of karmic stuff, just as in not to do with a karmic person or anything like that, just to do with karma coming up for the divine masculine. And I really do get that it's lifetimes, because another thing that I've been really drawn to and has found its way to me is for me it was actually Norse legends, so like Northern European legends, like Viking things. There was a game that I started playing as well, and I didn't realize at the time, but it was all to do with those legends. And then I decided to play some music right now, and the artist was basically based on these ancient Neolithic Northern European chants, basically. So it's really strange. Those are just a couple of examples, but there has been more as well. And whenever those things would kind of come up, I would immediately get very kind of old, not so much prehistoric, but just from a whole different age, just issues from a whole different age that kind of started around about then, but haven't been resolved. Basically very old stuff, patterns and reoccurring themes, things that might have been a bit of a karmic trap. I don't like the word trap, but just a bit of a cycle, like that was a little bit hard to break and hard to escape, sometimes hard to change. That's what's kind of coming up again for divine masculines especially, and only because they're on their way out. And that's what I'm really getting. So it could be anxieties, it could be fears, it could be any of those things. But they are coming up to be resolved from the last moon cycle, and I think the full moon was yesterday or something. They really came to a head, so there might have been a lot more anxiety and stuff because of that. Also, not to sound creepy, but there was a little bit of a sense of, and I really did feel that this was something I was sensing on behalf of the masculine collective, but a lot of those negative energies again, they were just trying to mess. They were trying to mess because they can see the divine masculine breaking away. They finally have the chance, and they're finally getting a lot of divine light and divine assistance as well to break away from these things. And those nasty energies don't really like it. So they're trying their last kind of grasps to kind of catch up. I'm almost seeing like a race, a sprint, and the divine masculine is just, like it's almost like a sailing race, like, I don't know, America's Cup or something, and like the winds are really helping along the divine masculine, but there's certain part of the ocean that the negative energies were in, that the divine masculine is breaking away from. They're trying to catch up, but they're not being helped in the same way. It's kind of, the conditions are not helping them at the same time the conditions are helping the divine masculine to escape their clutches, and they don't like it. So they're kind of going full throttle, really kind of throwing all their fuel into the fires to try and do something about it, but there's no point, because they've already sailed away. They've already won the race. And if you think back to the thumbnail of this video, those were the energies that kind of wanted to be seen. And if you remember what it was the Knight of Wands, and that is the very kind of impulsive but not very stable energy of the masculine aspect. So just think of a brave knight, but this one's someone who's a bit of a player almost, or a bit, and the players, they're always players because they're really insecure for the vast majority of the time, and that's kind of what it is. It's instability, that energy of, they might want to run before they can walk right now. And they might feel like they maybe even have to act a certain way, put on bravado, but they're hiding behind it. And underneath, maybe they feel kind of weak, or a little bit unstable, a little bit tired, like a bit scared, very scared. I'm hearing lots of anxiety, lots of fear. And they might also have be going through a period of time right now where a lot of anxiety is coming up to them. Maybe this is anxiety that they've always had, but they've either not faced up to, or they've just kind of shoved it down, or they've papered over the cracks, but it's all surfacing again. But this time, the other cards that came up with that Knight of Wands was the Six of Swords, so moving away from things, and the Magician, which is creating new. So it's moving away. The Magician can also sometimes be manipulative. He can also be very much about illusions as well. But so those tendencies will be coming up. Those tendencies to be a bit of a cad, a bit cavalier, to be a little bit kind of a wannabe player. And I say wannabe player, and to kind of fake it before you make it, kind of thing. Just put on a brave face. And also with me, the Knight of Wands is always a bit of a panicky kind of card, like attack is the best line of defense kind of thing almost. So they might be doing reckless. It's a very reckless card, and illusionary things from the past. They might be tempted to do that, but it's a chance at the same time to move away from that, and with the positive aspect of the Magician, to create new cycles. So those messages took like 8.5 minutes almost, but let's carry on with the reading now. Sorry if this is a little bit shaky. I am holding the camera in my hand. This is going to be a divine masculine reading. So in the past position, we've got the Ten of Wands, and we know that this card is very much about all the burdens of the past. They're not going to be carrying those anymore. All of those old problems, those old anxieties, those old worries, it's like they know what they are, and they realize that they've been carrying around all this completely useless nonsense, a lot of childhood issues, and they couldn't see the wood for the trees. They couldn't see where they were going. They were just blindly bumbling along, working for loads of things that did not even help them, that they didn't want, that weren't really working for them. And people were forcing them to do this as well. They were carrying this for a lot of other people a lot of the time, and they did not realize. So they were being used. They were being abused. There was a lot of weight on these shoulders, and they felt like they were being a workhorse that was just being manipulated and enslaved almost. And that's not happening anymore. And also punishment. I'm getting a real punitive sense of feeling like they were punished, doing all this backbreaking work, no respite, no thanks, and just that people were expecting more and more and more of them, and they were exhausted, but no more. Because now they're in this space where they're like, really taking stock of what it is that they do have, what they want, but it's a 9, so there's more. They know that there's more that they do want, and they're in a really good place. They know they're starting to realize that they're in a good place. They're starting to realize what it is that they have. And it's not a bunch of wants for energy for someone else. They're not carrying everybody else's energies anymore. This is their cup. They want to fill their own cup, because it's all about emotions. It's all about what is in their heart. So that's where they are right now. In the future, we've got the Justice card in reverse. And if you remember, this came up for the Divine Masculine last time as well. And what I said about it was the Divine Masculine finally giving themselves a break and being kind to themselves and seeing themselves in a better light. And this is what they still have to do. Because right now, they might still be a little bit afraid. They might be scared that this sword is going to come down on them, and the scales are not balanced. So like I said about the impulsiveness of the Knight of Wands, it's very much to do with a lack of balance as well. So maybe their circumstances in life, or how they see themselves, how they respond to things, has changed a lot, especially, and things would change once you dump this whole burden. If your whole way of being before was being completely blind and not knowing where you were because you were carrying all this other crap and hiding behind the expectations of other people. This guy is hiding behind 10 wands. What's this guy doing? He's sitting in front of 9 cups. So the 9 cups represent what's in his heart, his desires. He's got everything except for that 10th cup. And what's he got in his advice spot? The 10 of cups. So this is a love reading. He's being advised to kind of go after that 10 of cups, find that 10th cup. But maybe he's not ready for it just yet, because these hands crossed in front of his heart, he's not ready yet. He's still got to protect his heart a little bit, but he's doing very well. And this Justice card, that's when this happens the right way. Well, when this happens, he'll be able to not have his heart crossed anymore, because he will have balance. But once you drop all the thoughts of other people's, the expectations of what he should do, of other people that he's carrying, and he's blinded to where he's actually going, who he is, etc., etc. Not anymore. Now he's dealing with his emotions, but those emotions have been shaken up quite a lot. They're not balanced yet. That's why this is upside down. And once they do get balanced, that's when he's going to start to really be a lot kinder to himself. Advice card for the Divine Masculine, we've got this 10 of Cups card. So like I said before, it's the completion. It's that feeling complete. It's that he's not satisfied right now. He's kind of sat there and he's taking stock of how he's in a much better situation than he was in the past, when he was just, he couldn't even breathe. He was just so overwhelmed and tired from lugging around all his own crap and a lot of other people's rubbish as well, and things that other people, especially his parents, relationships, all these karmic people had just burdened him with as well. And he's been carrying them around for so long, and now he's like, nope, no more. This is what his true wealth is. And he's going to find that justice, that clear thinking, and that kindness for himself very, very soon, that forgiveness. And then he will realize, he's being really encouraged to really accept what would make him happy, what his dreams are, what that completion would look like and fulfillment would truly look like for him, and to go after it, to really, really see it and go after it, chase that rainbow in a good way. And how he feels towards the relationship, this Queen of Swords can often be a card of separation, a card of divorce, a card of endings, but it's not over. We're thinking about this in relation to the Divine Feminine. He knows that it's not over. He knows that there's, he might have thought that it was over before during this stage, but that's not the case anymore. But you'll notice that the Justice card is upside down. The Queen of Swords is still upside down. This is also a card of communication. He's not ready to communicate fully. He's also looking within himself, and it is probably the time for him to be looking within rather than looking without. And when she's the right way up, she can often be a card of action, of thinking, of strategy, of doing what needs to be done. But right now it's much more introspective. But this is very much a case of not seeing all to be lost with the divine feminine. So it's almost like he is still strategizing. He is still looking for a way, but he has to look at himself first. And I really do get a parallel between the Justice card here and that need for balance. And yeah, ironically, we've got the Ten of Cups behind that when I picked it up as well. So what does he want to say to the divine feminine? We've got the Four of Pentacles. He's still feeling possessive. He's still feeling very protective of his heart, and he does not want to open up. He doesn't want to do that. He's still feeling very protective and defensive, I'm seeing, and unsure. And this is a card of great insecurity. This is a very, very insecure king here, an insecure man. He is the king, but he is behaving like a pauper, you know, some little pathetic miser. Nobody likes people like that, right? We want the king, the heroic kings in the stories are always the really just, really brave, really generous, really wise ones. But he's not that at the moment. He's neither of those things at this very moment in time, because he's insecure about something. Maybe he's insecure because he doesn't know who he is yet, because he's still discovering that. He's almost there. With that Nine of Cups, he's almost at that Ten of Cups. He's being encouraged to go after that Ten of Cups. So especially water signs, the cups are a signifier of they can sometimes represent the water signs as well. Or just emotionally, that is what is really, really their main focus right now. So that's also what they're insecure about in their actions. What is a challenge for them right now is, again, that stability, that coming together, that celebration after, and this is very much a card of community and, like I said, coming together. They're not really in a state to do that just yet. So they want to be here. They want to be in this building, growing celebration, the good kind of stability. This is like a good kind of stability. It's a foundation on which you can build upon, but they're sadly in this very stuck Four card, which is much more about blocks. Ironically, it's little circles, it's coins, but it's not really about movement. It's not like a vehicle. It's more of a block. And this is much more something like a good solid foundation, but this is a weak foundation. That's why he's so afraid. This is a strong foundation. That's why they're so confident and happy. Weak and sad and afraid and miserable versus happy, joyous and stable, secure. It's almost like I'm hearing troubled childhood trauma. This is like the golden upbringing. This is kind of a really happy childhood, giving you a really good template with which to go forward, and lots of confidence and happiness to enjoy your life and replicate those good habits. So that was interesting. And what are we getting for what have they been doing well? I'm really, really hearing completion of being on the wrong path. So they might have been with someone who was trying to build with them, but they knew that it was wrong. It wasn't really what they wanted. The Three of Coins can often symbolize for me kind of institutions, and maybe someone was trying to get them to commit to something they didn't want to commit to. It could also be habits. It could be traditions. It could be any kind of old thing that didn't really, it just, because it was inverted, it was upside down, it didn't really fit with them. So it could have been a home situation, could have been a work situation, it could have been bad habits, like I always say, you know, those same karmic things, or a relationship. Maybe someone was trying to get them married. Maybe someone was forcing them to marry somebody that they didn't want to marry. Maybe they were in a relationship where that person wanted to get married to them and they didn't want to. Or maybe they were in a very oppressive kind of belief system whether that was religious or whether that was their own negative self-talk, all of those things. And they put an end to that. They put an end to it in a very, very real way, because it wasn't making them happy, and they finally did see what would work for them. So I'm really hearing that they got real with themselves and they took solid action to complete it for good. They did what needed to be done to break away from whatever wasn't working for them. Now, this is probably the bit that I was really, really looking forward to doing, because it was usually what is the last, you know, the card at the bottom of the deck, but there was a whole other story that wanted to come through. So at the bottom of the deck, we did actually have the High Priestess. So the High Priestess here really does show up as the divine feminine. She was always at the back of his mind. And in a very kind of, if they were in another relationship or if you were in separation, this is like that third person that was always kind of in that relationship or around, even if it was just, you know, you living rent-free in their head. That is it. They were always there. The presence was always there. And we've got this stalemate energy that was underneath, but it's in reverse. So that stalemate energy is going. And that is a symbol of the blocks being removed. And then we've got the Death card underneath. And, you know, for me, the Death card is always about transformation. Could have been quite slow, but for me, it's always a positive sign. So underneath the Death card, we have this kind of wanted to be seen briefly as well. And that was just saying that communication, it's been delayed, because there's been a few delays. And then we've also got the Two of Wands here. So the Divine Masculine is kind of looking from afar. Very similar to that energy of being the Nine of Cups rather than the Ten of Cups. He's kind of looking at the Ten of Cups, and I'm seeing kind of the Nine of Cups. The man was looking forward, but to his left was the Ten of Cups. And here I'm almost seeing him look at the Ten of Cups. And what is the Ten of Cups? It's the Sun, the most auspicious card in the deck. So just like there were cups, which signify water, and rainbows in the Ten of Cups card that we saw in that position, the advice position, it's the water and the sunshine that makes the rainbows. So this is kind of another parallel, and we've got the World here as well. So that, yes, it might signify physical distance, but it's very much to do with the Divine Masculine really thinking about what he wants and who is the sunshine of his life, who is, you know, their sunshine, who is the light, who is the star that they kind of you know, look up to, and is a bit of a reference point, like a guide sort of thing. And in many ways, it's maybe not in a literal sense, but on some kind of energetic level, they will always kind of gravitate towards you, just as like it's a mutual thing. It's always kind of there in the background. So also, this is the card of the ultimate happiness. This is the most auspicious card in the deck. For me, it's the Sun and also the Star as well. It's new starts. It's all about kind of blessings, and I'm really hearing that kind of new year as well, because this is the new year, the new start, and it's the solar year that we follow with the Gregorian calendar, which you know, was obviously going to be January 1st. And yeah, it's starting that. The whole thing with this is, oh, that's interesting. We've got the Ace of Wands as well. So it's very much about that new start. And I was hearing a whole new world almost. And they I think that's a theme that's been there quite a lot for this particular time period. So I'm going to leave it there. Make of it what you will. I hope you guys have an amazing day or evening. And lots of love to you, and many blessings and all that good stuff. And I will be back very soon with a couple of other readings. All right, lots of love. Bye.